government there,
Yeah, they
so
have the
by,
government there
by
and
the
so on,
virtue
yeah.
of that.
I did
I
see
didn't
some
see
of
anybody in
them.
Andhra. In fact, Y.S. Sharmila was fighting a lone battle herself. You know, she
Yeah.
hardly had any support on ground as well.
So all the battles, it's very strange because
Yeah.
they're so active on the social
Here,
media.
why I'm asking this is, to all of you, when you don't need to do it only in your pockets where you're strong, you've got to go into the other pockets and you've got to do it as a collective to create a momentum on ground to say that I'm going to return more than what I got in 2019
Which is
or
what
in
the
2014.
BJP does. Which is what the BJP does. I
And
mean,
in
they
fact-
go into those areas where they're not strong. I mean, Amethi is that story. The Congress has always had this thing. The idea is to have a cotton wool existence for the Gandhis. Let's go in careful constituencies. Where the baad mein kharab nahi lage, because I think once the statistics start coming out, it'll be interesting to see the areas where the Gandhis campaigned, particularly Rahul Gandhi, what's going to be their kind of a performance.
So my experience was more than the Congress party. I mean, of course, in Nagpur, Vikas Thackeray, he's the sitting MLA in one of the assembly constituencies. He was putting up a good fight, but even the Congress workers conceded that against Nitin Gadkari, there's not much of fight there. In Chhindwara, Kamal Nath playing that emotional card, so you could see the Congress posters there. Other than that, across Bihar, Jharkhand, parts of eastern Uttar Pradesh, I didn't really see the Congress. It was the other regional players in the India front, the Samajwadi Party, the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, the RJD.
But they are the bigger stakeholders
yes,
also.
it's the entire, I mean, voting mechanism. For example, in Patna Sahib, against Ravi Shankar Prasad, it's a Congress candidate, Anshul Avijit Kushwaha. But the vote that is being sought is not in the name of so much, I mean, people hardly know Anshul Avijit. It's its debut. It's not so much in the name of Congress as it is for the India Alliance. RJD throwing its weight behind that candidate.
We're talking about the BJP being prepared and being a cohesive unit, but the fact of the matter is they are leaps and bounds ahead. Now they've already got a form in place where every candidate has to fill how many votes they polled, how many votes they did not poll, how many votes were scored through postal ballots, what is their experience, what has been the background, when did they join the BJP, if at all they've done that. So all of those, that list has already been prepared since yesterday. So obviously everything will be screened. So they're already starting to prepare for the cabinet and probably give opportunity to multiple people. So that's the kind of effort that they put in, and they are on an election campaigning throughout the year, 365 days in the year. They probably in the next couple of months will start preparing for 2029.
This aspect of the allies working harder, the regional chatraps working harder to retain their own area and really putting the hard yards. Tejasvi Yadav, you could see him in action in campaign. Akhilesh Yadav towards the latter phases, you could see him.
But they've got more at stake also. No?
Actually, I just wanted to ask Pallavi this question because one got the sense that this time a more chastened, perhaps, Congress entered the fray, realizing that perhaps they were not the party that they were maybe even 10 years back, and let us, I wouldn't say play second fiddle, but certainly be willing to concede space in areas where we're not dominant. Did you get that sense, and was that a cultivated sort of strategy?
Rahul, you know, you're right, because that took a lot of compromise coming in from Rahul Gandhi, because left to himself, he believed in this slogan of Akla Cholore. When he entered into active politics, he would always be upset about the fact that why did Sonia Gandhi have unlikely alliances? He didn't want to do that, but somewhere chugging along, he realized that nahi ho paega akele. And how else do you explain an alliance with, say, the Aam Aadmi Party? That party was created, successful, breaking out of the Congress.
So that's the question I want to ask you. Why is it that the Congress, knowing fully well that they were on this sort of downward trajectory, not do something about it? And what can be done about it? Is there any sort of analysis going on? Or if Rahul Gandhi himself has realized he can't pull the Congress along to the heights that are required today, then is there no sort of...
If we're going to go by the exit poll results, and I know all the eyes will be definitely on the BJP and the government formation, I think the more interesting and vicious story will come in from the Congress party. Who's going to blame whom? See, last time round, Rahul Gandhi had the power and the responsibility. He was the Congress president, CWC mein, he resigned. This time he has all the power but no responsibility. So who's going to be blamed? And there are people who are silent. G23 multiplied by 4 or 5 hoga. They're all silent. They felt that there were strategic mistakes which have been made. Alliances with AAP has not helped us. For example, this caste census thing, this Agniveer thing has got zero traction on the ground. They don't say this openly, they're going to say this openly. Will Rahul Gandhi be held accountable, or will they try to defend him and shield him and say at least he fought? I mean, for me, the story is going to be actually there.
So Amit Shah has already said Kharge will have to step down after this.
Kharge will have to step down. No, the optics and the psy-ops game between the politicians one side. It's about really putting in the hard yards.
So what does the marginalization of the Congress really mean nationally? Now think about this. If these exit polls hold, and I suspect that they will to some extent, think about your polity as we go forward. You have a shrinking of the regional parties and you have a shrinking of the principal opposition, which is a Congress. Now, it could be, 10 seats up here or 10 seats down there. But the point is, fundamentally, you're seeing the marginalization of the Congress over 15 years.
Yeah.
And that is significant. What sort of an impact will it have on the union government? What do they intend to do with this mandate? Are we in the era of unchecked, sort of untrammeled power? What about all the checks and balances?
Many would say that going forward in the future opposition may just break out of the BJP, just like it broke out of the Congress party, and that's where the opposition was actually formed, out of the Congress
party.
party.
Well, that will depend, as I said, on the numbers. If the BJP comes back, as you say, with greater numbers, I'm sorry, but the Prime Minister is going nowhere. There is going to be no challenge to him internally from within the BJP.
Politics is not about today. It's also about what happens next.
True.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, and where is the future going? And we are all looking at a roadmap of 2047. As a Viksit Bharat, we also need to be a vibrant democracy, and in a vibrant democracy, a very, very active, cohesive and strong opposition is enough. Is important because the opposition is the conscience keeper of the government of today.
Anand, that's a very good point. But in 29, the Prime Minister will only be 77, I think. And look, around the world now, you've gone back to an era or a time where older leaders have come to the forefront.
Where the octogenarians are now are dictating discourse.
You still stand a chance.
Let's see.
Rahul Gandhi certainly
Madhuri
does.
Lata is in a tight contest, close contest, where we believe Hyderabad will be won by Asaduddin Owaisi. Has just spoken. Let's listen in.
हाँ जी, हम बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हैं क्योंकि हमारे सारे चाहने वाले, मोदी भाई को प्यार करने वाले, उनके प्रशासन पे जिन जिनको हिम्मत है, जिन जिनको भरोसा है, वो बाहर बहुत कोशिश करें मई 13 तारीख को निकलने के लिए। सारा देश चाहता है कि ये भाजपा का सीट बन जाए और बनकर ही रहेगी।
Lata is coming out and saying that she is confident of a win. It's not even a close contest. Our exit polls, News 18 mega exit polls, give that seat to Asaduddin Owaisi, and that Owaisi dominance since the 80s should continue. That's the prediction. There are other pollsters who've said that there may be an upset and she may actually win. Let's go across to Sherin and Arun Danta and understand from them what their experiences have been when they have gone ahead on tracking the campaign trail and reporting around the elections. Arun, you've been also looking at not just the BJP, but you went far away all across to Mandi and spoke with Kangana Ranaut. How different is Mandi this time? Vikramaditya Singh versus Kangana Ranaut is an interesting fight.
Well, it is indeed. It's a tough fight. It's a neck-to-neck fight between Kangana and Vikramaditya Singh, because, of course, when I was traveling in different parts of the Mandi, Kangana has that fan base there, but also, of course, importantly, you have the former Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Jairam Thakur, from the same district of Mandi. So therefore, he also has that huge responsibility on him. And most importantly, the face of Prime Minister Modi. I think these are the things which are there in favor of BJP. But as far as Vikramaditya Singh, he is a young leader, firebrand leader of the Congress party, and he has that legacy of Veerbhadra Singh, the 6-time Chief Minister, 3-time Member of Parliament, and in fact from the same seat. So I think it's a very difficult fight. It's a neck-to-neck fight. Both of them had very aggressive campaigning. We saw what happened, what Vikramaditya said about Kangana, then Kangana retaliated to that. So Mandi in Himachal Pradesh is going to be a very, very interesting battle. There is another battle which is in Shimla Lok Sabha seat. That is also becoming interesting because you have Suresh Kashyap, sitting MP of BJP. There is some sort of resentment against him on the ground, but still you have the face of Prime Minister Modi. Many of them are not even knowing who's the candidate. They only know Prime Minister Modi and the sign of BJP. But in that constituency, Congress's candidate is also very strong. You have 4 ministers from Shimla Lok Sabha in the present Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu government. 3-4 parliamentary secretaries are there. So I think it's a tough battle even on that seat as well. But I think
this is
everything
Rahul
will
here.
be.
how consequential is this election really for the Congress party? If by some measure, if there is an upset, as in you have a situation where the person who is thought to be perhaps the next chief minister down the line, or at least enjoys that legacy or those credentials, loses to Kangana Ranaut, what implications will
No,
that
but
have
more
for the
importantly,
Congress?
Rahul, there are 6 bypolls that happen in
Yes,
Himachal. The
that's-
fate of the state government
that's what
depends
I'm
on
wanting
those
to lead
bypols.
on to.
Yeah.
That's right. So I'm just trying to get a sense, because if the one person who claims to have the virasat of the Congress there, Mr.
Loses.
Veerbhadra's own heir, if he loses, what does that mean overall, Arun?
Well, see, Rahul, one thing is very clear. You know, when Vikramaditya Singh resigned, in fact, I interviewed Vikramaditya Singh and I asked him that when your 6 MLAs defected and voted in favor of BJP, why did you choose only that time to resign? He said it was just mere coincidence. The fact is that, you know, he embarrassed party there when he resigned at that point in time when the party was in trouble. And in fact, he had 3 other MLAs with him. So I think it was a very strategic move that he deployed at that point in time by resigning. But then later on, when party asked him to contest against Kangana Ranaut from Mandi Lok Sabha, initially he was reluctant. He didn't want to contest. But of course, then he has to prove his loyalty to the party as well, because he had already made that mess by resigning. And then later on, of course, in the night, he took that resignation back. So when he's against Kangana Ranaut, one thing which I have realized there, that the entire Congress party in the state is behind him. You won't see otherwise happening in the state there, because they want Vikramaditya to go out of the state. If he wins, he will be a member of parliament and he will be out of the state. So therefore, all those factions who are present in Congress party in Himachal Pradesh, they were together for Vikramaditya Singh. But of course, Vikramaditya Singh also knows this reality, that if he's out of the state, right now he's a minister, he's a PWD minister, so how he's going to do things there, because he will be a member of parliament, he will not have any say
I like
in
that
the
analogy.
government.
I don't like this
Himachal
guy
Pradesh.
kicking him up to Delhi. Right?
Let's send them across.
Send
to
him
Delhi.
across to
Well,
Lutyens.
this conversation is there in Maharashtra too. There are a few people across political party lines who were pushed for getting Lok Sabha seats so that they could be pushed out of Maharashtra. So every state across parties, this line is there. Sharon, what has your experience been? You've also gone ahead and tracked quite a bit and traveled quite a lot. So which are the contests you're looking through, and what's your assessment overall? Which parties have been in shape to actually fight this election in the manner it should have been fought?
Well, Anand, one thing that I have actually realized is that with every election, the voters are getting smarter, and this time they were not really disclosing much. In a way, you can see that majority of them were like silent voters. Even when you are asking them what are the issues, you know, not disclosing much when it comes to on ground. So I traveled Wayanad, I traveled in Western Uttar Pradesh, Moradabad. Later, I traveled in Raebareli as well. So one thing that I realized is that people are not disclosing much when it comes to who they are voting, what are the issues on which they are voting. But when it comes to Wayanad, it seems that it is going to be, of course, an upper hand for Rahul Gandhi. But at the same time, voters do realize that the left and the Congress party are together in India Alliance, because I asked one of the voters and he told me, "Ek hi baat hai, they are together, they are in one party, so it doesn't matter who we are voting here." So right now, I also want you to focus here. Here are some party workers who have in fact gathered over here with these banners which says "देश का लोकतंत्र और संविधान जीतेगा या मोदी की ईवीएम." तो अभी तो सर काउंटिंग स्टार्ट ही नहीं हुई, आपने ईवीएम को ब्लेम करना स्टार्ट कर दिया है।
वैसे हम देखो, राहुल प्रियंका गांधी सेना के हम हैं, हम तो हमारे शर्मा जगदीश शर्मा जी, हम तो उम्मीद है कि कांग्रेस जीतेगी, 295 तक आएगी, ठीक है। लेकिन ये थोड़ा आशंका है, इसलिए हम लगे हैं कि पहले ईवीएम, क्योंकि पता चला ईवीएम हैक होता है, इसलिए हमें आशंका। बाकी तो हम आश्वस्त हैं कि जनता जनार्दन।
कहाँ से प्रूफ मिला है कि ईवीएम हैक होता है? आप लोग ये बैनर सारा लेते हैं?
ये हमारे शर्मा जी ने बताया, इसने
शर्मा जी ने बताया,
शर्मा जी 6 दिन पहले बताया कि हैक हुआ है, सेटिंग हो गई है।
शर्मा जी ने बताया कि ईवीएम हैक होता है।
But point is, Sharon, the aspect is that when you stand with a banner like that, कि देश का लोकतंत्र जीतेगा या मोदी का ईवीएम, by default you're saying that we have lost the election, and this is why we are going to get into a denial mode by blaming something which should not. be blamed. This is like, and that's the sad part. Now, if this is going to be the discourse, is that the kind of opposition we want as in India? Is the tone
they
we
found
want
their
the opposition of the
scapegoat,
country
so, you know,
to adopt?
we know why
but
they
if
lost.
Rahul Gandhi is saying 295 and you do get 295, then EVMs are okay. Then the counting agents are okay. This looks so defeatist. And this Sharma ji is always there with his firecrackers. I remember last time he didn't even get to burst it because they thought they're going to win. But you know, it is so.
Somebody needs to ask the Congress party 295 with the EVMs or without the EVMs.
Look, Karnataka and Telangana stories, I mean, the EVMs are fine, so I don't know.
And Election
But you
Commission
know,
of
let me,
India.
sorry, please go ahead.
No, I was just pointing out the CEC yesterday did not mince words. He was expecting this kind of attack already. So at the press conference, he did not mince words. I mean, he took to Shero Shairi, he took to quoting data. And you know, when he started off his presentation, there were 4 M's that he was talking about, the model code of conduct and money power. And towards the end of it, he took out a slide with a 5th M, which was about malicious rumor mongering and mischief that the opposition was playing. So the Election Commission of India said we have taken this as a learning. Next election, we'll prepare for this better as to how to counter
Jairam
this
Ramesh's
narrative.
allegation that 150 DMs were called up by the Home Minister. He was supposed to respond by 7 p.m. He's asked for more time. And look at the response which is coming from the EC to Jairam Ramesh. That you cannot make such huge allegations and then ask for more time. And then look at the Congress's campaign. How dare the EC ask him for proof? That's what Ashok Gehlot tweeted to say yesterday. How can Election Commission ask Jairam Ramesh for proof?
See, you can be critical on certain aspects. The enforcement of the model code of conduct with the sort of, you know, force and censure that is required. You could question the sort of prevarication. But I think fundamentally to question the entire democratic process as it is, the electoral process really, as it is rolled out by the Election Commission, they're very set norms. There was this whole crazy conspiracy theory about where the voter disappeared, holding them to account as if, you know, they were part and parcel of the Modi machine. I think that was stretching it
I think
too
this
far.
whole bogey of EVM hacking, I mean, there are 3 times, I think, where this matter went up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court rejected it outright. And Arunima knows this well. I mean, how many EVMs were deployed in this entire lakhs and lakhs of them?
Yes.
I mean, the point is, even if you were to concede, okay, 1 of them got hacked, or 10 of them got hacked, or a dozen got hacked, you cannot fix 543 seats. On average, a Lok Sabha constituency, on average, has about what, 20 lakh people? You cannot fix that. You cannot fix 64 crore voters. So at some
that too
point,
when each machine is individual.
Exactly.
It's not
Each machine
linked,
is
it's
independent of the other.
Bhupesh Baghel came up with a theory which said that the EVMs that were used on the voting day, those numbers have been changed. Of course, the Chhattisgarh Election Commission officials contradicted that. But this narrative, you know, I found it interesting that the Chief Election Commissioner pointed out that why is it that 4 days before the first phase of voting, you suddenly realized that there was something amiss and you went knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court on a case which has been pending for the last year and a half. If you actually believe there's something amiss, Payal was pointing out that the BJP is already preparing ahead. 2019 CEC said a similar bogey was raised, and then till 2024 you kept quiet. Why did you not go back and raise this matter with the CEC, with the EC, with the Supreme Court?
Interestingly, he
She's
said
absolutely
both
right,
in
because the
2019,
guidelines-
4 days before the polls, first
Because
phase
the
1, and
guidelines-
2024 also 4 days before phase 1, this whole
She's
bogey was
absolutely
raised.
right on the timing, because the guidelines, for example, for the counting of postal ballots was changed back in 2019.
Yes.
So all the last 5 years, we've been working in a particular manner. At that time, you've had no problem. Election has come, elections have gone. Congress has won 3 or 4 significant elections in these last, 5 years. But suddenly, as she was saying, 3, 4, 5 days before the election.
At least a part of the opposition are building up that narrative, and they've already started work on that. At the end of the day, the results, if they go in favor of the BJP and NDA, they will say that this was never a free and fair election. Every institution was bought, so we've not lost. We've been defeated because the machinery has been used, and I suspect they'll make it a kind of an international issue as well.
No, but that's the
Which is what Payal was also reporting about yesterday. Remember
pampered,
that?
pampered, spoiled, crybaby syndrome,
but, you know,
which
the
is
Election
what is it
Commission,
going to
Anand
do?
has asked
It's going to hurt the country overall. There are those who are sitting there internationally who cried wolf and were up at arms at what happened with the insurrection in January when Trump lost in capital city, etc. Those very lot will come here and back this lot. See, it's a game of narratives.
Yeah, the government, I think, already has proof on that.
Yes, they have. They put out some
the
data. Now, I don't know.
Payal was reporting on.
Yeah, so look, I mean, a lot of that also, of course, can be used maliciously, some of that data that was put out to target certain individuals. So setting that aside, of course we know that trans-border interference has been taking place through Facebook, through different sort of social media.
OpenAI
platforms.
admitted to it.
Right.
OpenAI
Absolutely.
admitted to it.
So you know, this has been part and parcel. In fact, in a different era, when you had the communist versus capitalist thing going on, we knew that there was always from both sides an attempt to undermine the systems. So,
Well,
a small nugget that I wanted to
Sure,
share.
sure.
All of us here sitting are discussing, and all the big party officers are discussing how the elections are being manipulated, what is being hacked. But I can tell you, Janta sab janti hai. Even in a tiny hamlet of Jharkhand, where they hardly have any basic necessities, youngsters there told me, मुझे पता है जो मोबाइल पे दिखाते हैं सब तो सच नहीं है, कुछ तो गलत दिखाते हैं. They are also aware कि जो YouTube पे दिख रहा है, जो मोबाइल पे दिख रहा है, you have to gauge what is right and what is wrong. So public है,
So
ये सब
those
जानते
who,
हैं.
when they need to know what they need to understand, they need to understand.
in fact,
We'll
if
try
I
and
were
get to some of the aspects.
If I were Mr. Modi and I was in the business of hacking EVMs, the first thing I would do was to show how Muslim consolidation is taking place behind the Bharatiya Janata Party. Forget about anything else. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous.
The point is that you're demeaning a process which is so vibrant, and like Zaka was saying, 64.2 crore people have gone ahead and voted this time, participated. It's the largest number. It's bigger than all the 27 the European Union put together. It's bigger than some continents coming out to poll and going to the ballot. Kamalika is joining us from Bengal, and after that we'll go and get you a quick check of the live result hub, why we believe our numbers will be the most accurate, and this is the only grid that you need to follow. And it's also very easy to interpret and easy to read. I'll take you through that in just a bit. But Kamalika, this last phase, there are many who believe that all that didn't happen in the first 6 phases of Bengal happened in the last phase of Bengal.
Yeah, absolutely. There was full of violence. Generally what happens in Bengal, every phase is a violent phase. But this time till 5th phase, everything seems to be okay and there was no violence. But from the 6th phase, Midnapur and all, there we saw a little bit of violence. But 7th phase, we really saw violence in Sandesh Khali, Bhangar, North 24 Parganas, and even Sandesh Khali is now also in news. Yesterday evening also, there were, the local villagers were saying that there were intimidations. So all eyes are definitely there on the results of Boshirhat. And what is the interesting part in this time 2024 Lok Sabha poll results in Bengal is every party, both the parties, specifically TMC and BJP, both of them are very, very confident. BJP is saying that they are going to get seats around 24 to 30 and the exit polls have given BJP an edge. So they are very happy, they are very confident, that's what they are saying. TMC is saying that they are not going to get less than 25, they are going to get more than 25. And also Left and Congress Alliance, they are also saying that this time their margin will increase and they might grab 1 or 2 seats. So really all sides confident, and this is the first time where exit polls have shown that BJP has an edge.
India Alliance is working against the India Alliance, but they are all collectively together working against the BJP or acting against the BJP. So similar stories across multiple states, but Bengal, news coming through, ladies and gentlemen, an allegation from the BJP that their counting agent Sandeep Roy was attacked by the Trinamool last evening in Kontai, or that is Kanti, in West Bengal. He's been hospitalized. The Trinamool Congress has denied these charges. Yes, Kamalika. So another incident where the BJP is saying there is intimidation, administrative, cadre, at all aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kathi is a seat where Shubhendu Adhikari's brother, Shomendu Adhikari, is contesting. And yesterday in the evening, this allegation has come from BJP that their counting agent, Shondeep Rai, was attacked and he has been hospitalized. Though the charges have been denied by TMC, but definitely these are the news which are coming, not only in Kathi, in various other places also. This intimidation, like in Jadavpur also in Kolkata, there were some allegations of intimidation election. Today is the final day and counting is a very important thing. Both the camps, like we know that TMC has called a special meeting and stated that everybody should concentrate on counting and nobody should fall prey to any instigation by opposition. Same goes for BJP. BJP has also done meeting with their workers and stated that nobody is going to go into instigation. Will there be post-poll violence? Will there be violence during counting process? That is a big challenge. Though there is 3-tier security system, lot of CAPF is there, near about more than 500 company CAPF is there all through
And they're
Bengal.
staying back.
But still, it will be peaceful? That's a big question.
They're staying back for a few more days after result day 2. Let's get you a quick check of the live result hub. Avantika Singh is with us from the live result hub. Is everybody now slowly waking up, got their cup of coffee and taking their desk? Because just about an hour and 15 minutes, counting will get underway, Avantika.
Anand, hi, good morning, a very, very good morning. And you know, I was just thinking, Anand, that just very recently the S&P Global Ratings had elevated India's sovereign outlook to a positive, and that's the buzz. It's so positive, upbeat, we are so enthusiastic. It's a big day today after 6 weeks of a grueling election, 3 months of a very intense battle. Today is the grand finale, but I'm in a very special place today. Anand, this is the live result hub. And this is what makes CNN News 18 so unique, so different from the others. Just take a look at this. This is like a mini India out here. You have all the states, and most interestingly, you have everyone, experts here, who just not only know the candidates and the constituencies, but they know the political dynamics of every state. And we're going to keep a very close track. 2,000 plus reporters who are keeping a close track of all those numbers, Anand. We have a panel of experts who are spread across the country. They're going to be keeping a close watch on those numbers coming in from the counting centers. It's going to be action-packed, and I'm ready for it.
You're in the live result
that's
hub.
our endeavor to get
Let
the
me
best,
ask
the
you,
most
Avantika,
credible and the fastest news to our viewers.
If you
In
can
fact,
hear
I
me,
just hope, yeah,
if you can
yeah.
hear me, you're
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
live result hub now. Which are the areas that you're going to look at? Because you covered quite a lot of Western Uttar Pradesh. You covered some areas, some pockets across the other parts of the country also. So you were in Odisha also. So let's understand from you, what is the contest that you are looking for, and which is the bench or the desk that you are leaning to? Each state, each union territory has a different area marked out in the live result hub. We can see that.
Yep.
You just crossed Madhya
absolutely.
Pradesh. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, Anand, definitely. I'm going to keep a very close watch on the southern belt, and you're right, I spent a lot of time in Uttar Pradesh and in Odisha. A lot of things are changing in Uttar Pradesh. Odisha is going to be a very big one, very exciting. I'm really, very curious to know what happens out there. It's going to be a very fierce contest between the BJP and the BJD. They're no longer friends. They're clearly foes this time around. And of course, this southern belt, we'll have to wait and watch if the BJP and all the effort that the Prime Minister has made to kind of breach that southern fortress. And this is where we're going to get all the numbers. Anand, it's so exciting. It's a great start to the day.
We'll ask you to the person who's actually manning the hub, the live result hub, and get a conversation with him going as to how are the numbers going to come in. And if you can take us through the software and the counting centers, each of our 2,000 reporters across the News 18 network. We'll come back to you, Avantika, in just a bit. Okay, let's try and bring it back into the studio. That live result hub, ladies and gentlemen, 2,000 reporters who are going to be at the counting centers, and there are updates that are going to come to us. Of course, the first half hour is the postal ballots, and the postal ballots across constituencies will get some indications of the postal ballots. So you may see the numbers racing up here and there, but those are all leads. And if you see all across our screen, right at the top is the leaderboard. This is where you would see the alliance numbers and the big party numbers and the big numbers, all India numbers. And then to the left, right, and the bottom of your screen, you will have some key race alerts at the bottom of the screen, some big candidates. What are the results? Are they leading? Are they trailing? So the key race alerts at the bottom. And to the left and right of the screen, we will be rolling and scrolling each of the states with the leads and the states. So Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Gujarat, MP, Tamil Nadu, AP now, and then it just toggles into Bihar, Odisha, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, and then it will toggle again to the rest of the seats. So West Bengal come back again, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. So these will continue. The only place the leaderboard is already active is Gujarat because of that Surat seat which went uncontested to the BJP. Dr. Jitendra Singh is in the picture. That's another interesting fight that was made out to be in Udhampur, but he's confident he will retain Udhampur. Jammu and Kashmir elections. How important and significant is it that the voter turnout is near about 40% across those 5 Lok Sabha constituencies, and some of them it's more, and voters coming out to say that we've never thought this is how democracy works or voting and polling works. And we'll get into the Mahila, OBC and the youth aspects that we put out after that. Yes, Jammu and
So
Kashmir.
the valley seats, I mean, very significant. 50% plus voter turnout in the valley. 8%, 14% is what we have seen last time around. When Dr. Farooq Abdullah won last time, the total voter turnout was 8%. That's not the kind of democracy that you really want. This time, Bharatiya Janata Party is not in the game in the valley, but I think they have already won because of this narrative that, you know, Naya Kashmir actually gives the Kashmiri confidence to come out and exercise their choice. It's also important because, you know, since this Union Territory lost its statehood, there was this sense amongst the local Kashmiri population that it's not easy to deal with bureaucracy. For something as basic as, you know, snowfall, disrupting their sewage system or, you know, basic civic issues, to travel all the way from the hills to Srinagar was difficult. This is their chance.
Well, Gajendra Shekhawat speaking.
निश्चित रूप से हम सब विजयी होकर के लौटेंगे, ये विश्वास है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी विजयी होगी, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की प्रचंड बहुमत से सरकार बनेगी और हम निश्चित रूप से भारत को विकसित बनाने के संकल्प को सिद्ध करने के लिए पूरे प्राण और प्रण की ऊर्जा से जुटे।
Rajasthan, very interesting story. A place where the Congress could make inroads, and it is largely because there was a BJP versus BJP scenario. So, to all my colleagues here who are busy looking at the updates on their phones, tell us about Rajasthan. What's the story there? Why does the Congress say that we should get about 7 to 10 seats? Where was the problem in Rajasthan, especially after that phenomenal win in the assembly elections?
But
For
you
the
know,
BJP.
Rajasthan is also going to be interesting into the Gehlot versus Sachin pilot flight, which I think is going to resume once again. Where the Congress is confident of is Sikar, Dausa, those areas, which is where pilot actually campaigned very extensively. Ashok Gehlot was told that you have to ensure, since you're not contesting elections and you don't want to, you have to ensure this time round your son wins, which is why bulk of Gehlot's time was actually spent in campaigning for his son. Now, should Sachin pilot be able to deliver those seats in Rajasthan and possibly in Chhattisgarh, I'm sure he's going to ask for his pound of flesh. That now I've proved myself, now you make me what you want to make me. So that churning will take place in Rajasthan. We saw what happened in 2019. It's not necessary that the ones who are in power at the state level also win in the Lok Sabha. I mean, they got a 0 in Lok Sabha, the Congress party. So, you know, and people vote differently, right? For state
No, I think
elections.
Rajasthan, a couple of the things that happened was, one, there was a section of the BJP which was unhappy that Vasundhara Raje was sidelined. So that aspect, the Jat factor was the other big factor in places like Churu, Junjunu, etc. Like Rahul Kaswan, who was I am told, reasonably popular MP, he was denied a ticket. Again, that's a seat to watch out for. I think it's not so much what the Congress did, but some of the missteps that the BJP did.
Absolutely,
Which
the BJP,
probably,
in fact, you know,
In
did
how many
not
states
give
is there this BJP versus BJP scenario, starting with Rajasthan?
Well, there is quite a few, because one does understand that a lot of people are disgruntled because Vasundhara has been kept out of active politics. That's something which is going to hurt them. This is what they feel. But the seats that they're focusing on is Churu and, you know, probably the seats that were lost in the assembly as well. So that's going to be costing the BJP quite a bit. I mean, 3 to 4 seats is what Amit Shah spoke about losing, right, in Rahul Joshi's interview itself. So the BJP is well prepared to understand that this is going to be a little bit
There'll
of a
be
change.
some losses in Rajasthan. In Uttar Pradesh, there are a lot of conversations on ground about a lot of different aspects. A tussle between Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath. It started from there, and then it came down to the MP versus MLA scenarios. Some MLAs wanting to fix some MPs because the MPs tried to fix them in the assembly elections. All of this, a lot of BJP versus BJP conversations. Is that all going to manifest in the results?
Well, absolutely, because in Uttar Pradesh they have many problems. You know, for the fact that the western part of the election is something they're going to watch out for. If Akhilesh is able to score 8 to 9 seats, then there's little trouble for the BJP. There's also a narrative within the BJP over there saying that if XYZ seats don't come, then probably Yogi is going to be removed. Yogi himself had to clarify, Amit Shah had to clarify that nothing like this is really happening. So Western UP will be interesting, and of course Eastern UP is where You know what happens with the Afzal factor that also.
I actually got a chance to interview Afzal Ansari in Ghazipur, and I can see that whatever, you know, here sitting in the studio, we might feel that his family, Mukhtar Ansari and the family, has a legacy of them being called a mafia. Afzal calls himself and his entire family legacy that of a masiha. He goes to each campaign, and these are nukkar sabhas that he conducts. He says, reminds them that his grandfather and father were freedom fighters. A favorite story of his is that when Gandhiji needed an office space here in Delhi, he took out the keys of his Daryaganj house and handed it over. And then he goes on to say that agar mafia ko mara hai, to 4 तारीख को पता चल जाएगा कि जनता उनको प्रोत्साहन देती है कि नहीं, by making them win. So he is very confident, not just in Ghazipur, but in Ghosi, which is Mau area, neighboring Balia, from where Chandrasekhar's son is contesting. Also Chandoli next to Banaras. So that entire belt of eastern Uttar Pradesh, there are pockets where Samajwadi Party is pretty confident of doing a good show. And how will that affect Yogi Adityanath's prospect? Because this is an area which they lost in 2022 assembly elections as well. This is Purvanchal is supposed to be his battleground. So that conversation is also happening.
Purvanchal has always been tough. It's never
There were
been
two
an
narratives
easy.
that Kejriwal tried to create. A, he said Yogi will be removed. Secondly, he said 75 ke baad PM will not be there. And the third thing, he said that he's removing all the leaders to make way for Amit Shah. So that's a narrative that the BJP top leadership was forced to counter.
But in Punjab, the numbers in News 18 mega exit polls are saying that AAP itself will not be there anywhere on the leaderboard.
But
They
it's
may
one
not
state
get
where the
anything in
Congress is
Punjab.
not too
The
bad.
Congress may take it away.
Yeah, but that's one state where the Congress has actually never been too bad. Organizationally, they have been much, much stronger, very aggressive. And AAP seems to have lost its steam in Punjab. I mean, you know, there's a huge debt that they are running up. They are developing work which is not happening. So those complaints are very much there, which AAP is future with Kejriwal back in jail. If they don't get any seats in Delhi.
No, I think in Punjab, the Congress took an interesting call. I think it was Bajwa who essentially, led that call, saying that, look, if we ally with AAP, because they're already allied in Delhi, then the anti-incumbency, which you ask anyone in Punjab, there's visible anti-incumbency. That entire anti-incumbency vote will go to the BJP.
Exactly.
So he took that call, I think, to say that let's fight separately. And I think you're seeing that. I think most exit polls are saying Congress will get anywhere between 7 to 9, 7 to 10. And most exit polls in Punjab are saying for the Aam Aadmi Party, it's just 0 to 1. For which, I mean, you have a sitting government, a chief minister who had 93 MLAs, 2 years ago, and then to come back with just 0 to 1 MPs. I think that's a problem.
Now let's also look at some of the aspects. Which are the factors which are actually going to influence the result, either ways, in favor of the BJP or in favor of the opposition or in favor of the Congress-led alliance? One of the aspects that stood out was the OBC factor. How strong is the OBC factor? News 18 mega exit poll, we put out the data, we put out the information that nearly about 46 to 48% of the respondents out of 1 lakh respondents, voters, said that the OBC vote largely went towards the BJP and less towards the Congress party. Did you sense that on ground? Did the Prime Minister's OBC card, will that actually...
The Prime Minister himself is the biggest OBC leader that the BJP really has. And if you remember in the last cabinet reshuffle, there was an entire slogan which said, "Ab ki baar OBC Sarkar." So that's the kind of narrative that was being built. And in counter to the reservation policy that the opposition is speaking about, the BJP has been saying that if you're taking away somebody's reservation, if you're giving somebody a Muslim reservation, then which part of the OBC reservation is going to be cut? So that's the narrative also that BJP is trying to create in a big
And the Prime
way.
Minister's point, कि जो deserve करता है उनको हम reservation देंगे. So therefore, this whole narrative that the Congress is pitching for a reservation in which the minorities will benefit, 2006 speech of Dr. Manmohan Singh, somewhere down the line the resonance. But I think above all of this, it's the credibility factor. The OBCs or the minorities don't always go by these narratives. They say कि हमें क्या मिलेगा. So they are this convinced that maybe the BJP is the sarkar which is going to be giving that benefit. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Viksit Bharat will work for the OBCs. You will be surprised to see a lot of minorities actually have ended up voting possibly for the BJP as well.
And the one thing that the Prime Minister said time and again, especially in the run-up to 2024, is Garibi sabse badi jati. That's the focus that is being
So one state where the caste factor I encountered a lot was Bihar. The Yadavs are their RJD's attempt, Tejasvi Yadav's attempt is last time around, they lost everything. The Yadav vote deserted them, the core vote base deserted them. This time, of course, you can see that some of that Yadav vote is coming back to RJD. But I also met Yadav supporters in Patna who said that, you know, जात पात से उठकर बात करनी पड़ेगी अब, क्योंकि अब ये हिंदुस्तान वो हिंदुस्तान नहीं है जिस पे लालू जी राज किया करते थे. So Lalu Prasad Yadav continues to be a tall leader for the Yadav community in Bihar, but many of them are looking beyond.
But this caste conversation, largely among men, or are the women also equally conscious of their caste background and do they want to
Women
speak
are
on the
talking
caste
about
lines?
ration, free ration, getting that money in their bank account, the Ujjwala Yojana in some parts, the difficulty in getting a refill for their gas cylinder. Those are the conversations. And whatever you might say, whatever economists might say about freebie politics, Revdi politics, on the ground, that is the welfare politics that on ground.
I think this is the
women are
Russian
talking
election.
about.
If anything wins this
So-
election, it's the Russian
I
election.
agree.
I
I think, you know, the one thing that we're losing sight of is that this is an election that determines that pro-incumbency is gaining political currency. It's delivery, accountability, and that's really what's driving this election for the Bharatiya Janata Party. That much one can say. The opposition, of course, tried to come into this entire equation by turning around that 400 par message that the Prime Minister sort of pronounced to say that, oh, he wants to do this to change the constitutional equations, right? And fundamentally, the BJP then had to sort of slightly backpedal on that slogan. So it was an interesting contest, like a cat and mouse game on the slogans. But then the BJP came back front and center, promising that the Prime Minister would deliver, continue to deliver to everyone without prejudice. And again, the reaffirmation of the fact that, of course, there was that little detour that the Prime Minister took and got a lot of flack for, which is to suggest that one community was, you know, in a pejorative sort of way, was being sort of patronized.
But did he tailor make his speeches for each of the rallies? And you know, can 90 seconds
I think
determine
this was
what
one
was
election-
what was the construct
This
of
is
40
one election where
40
the
minutes,
BJP didn't
40
have
minutes,
one
40
unified message, Anand. Not
Right.
one unified message. So they had several messages.
So this leaderboard is already on. 1 out of 543 for the BJP. That's because of the Surat seat, ladies and gentlemen. The leaderboard will start getting updated from 8 a.m. onwards. That's just about 60 minutes from now. 60 minutes from now, counting will begin. It's non-stop coverage here at the Battle for Bharat. The first leads in less than about 60 minutes now. 59 minutes and 8, 7, 6, 5, and it'll come down to about 58.57 by the time I finish talking. But we've got more news coming through. Even as there is violence reported in Bengal, the Uddhav Sena mouthpiece Samna's fresh attack against the BJP. The editorial reads, today the defeat of hypocrisy and deception. The Ganges will be purified. Modi will become former PM, but this former PM has started preparing for a third term at the center. Modi is dreaming of coming to power for a third time. Whatever the exit poll data, the reality is that dictatorship is being defeated in the country on 4th June. Fake exit polls are the biggest scam in democracy. Today these scamsters will be defeated and Mother India will depart for Delhi, sitting on the golden chariot of democracy. Preeti Sompura is joining us even as Nistula Hebar and Nalin Mehta make their way into the studio. Preeti Sompura, आपसे एक प्रश्न ये simple question. तो सब EVM ठीक है? सामना believes exit poll गलत है but EVM ठीक है.
ये सामना एडिटोरियल आज जिस तरीके से उन्होंने क्रिटिसाइज किया है पिछले 3 दिन से लगातार जो है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की आलोचना सामना के संपादकीय में की जा रही है। आज फिर से उन्होंने कहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी भूतपूर्व प्रधानमंत्री बन जाएंगे। उन्होंने कल ईवीएम पे सवाल उठाया था सामना एडिट में, कल उनकी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी ईवीएम पे सवाल उठाया गया था और आज जिस तरीके से उन्होंने कहा है कि आज के बाद 4 जून के बाद जो है गंगा साफ हो जाएगी, इस तरीके की बातें जो है सामना के
पर प्रीति कल ईवीएम पे प्रश्न उठाया और आज कहा कि वही ईवीएम मोदी सरकार को बाहर करने वाला है। कल ईवीएम को सुनाया, आज एग्जिट पोल को सुना रहे हैं, परसों क्या करने वाले हैं?
जिस तरीके की बातें का इस्तेमाल किया गया है, जिस तरह से लिखा गया है कि गंगा साफ हो जाएगी, तो साफ तरीके से लग रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं यूबीटी जो शिवसेना पार्टी है उसमें अब बौखलाहट शुरू हो गई है। क्योंकि जिस तरीके से जो है कल रवि राणा जो एमएलए है महाराष्ट्र के, उन्होंने तो ये कह दिया कि 4 जून के बाद जो है उद्धव ठाकरे बीजेपी में शामिल हो जाएंगे, इस तरीके की बातें कही। और वहीं इस बात को लेकर जो है संजय राउत को सफाई देनी पड़ी। यानी कहीं ना कहीं जो है अब बौखलाहट जो है यूबीटी सेना में शुरू हो चुकी है।
Priti Sompura with the details
I just want to make
of
a point about this constant badgering of the media, that the exit polls. Let's look at it from a rational point of view. What's in it for us to fake an exit poll? We have a brand, we have a legacy to live up to constantly. Just like any other political party has a brand and a legacy. By going out there and putting out fake exit polls, etc., which are going to be disproved, the moment the first election result comes in, is a poor reflection on us. Why would anyone consciously take that decision? What are we getting out of this?
No, and the general direction of all exit polls is one way. It's not even that there are outliers. It's not even that there are those.
You can get the numbers wrong. One second. Can I just say this? You can get the numbers wrong. It's a human exercise after all, and you can have errors. There's nothing wrong with that. But to say that you guys are doing this at the behest of a political party. Zaka, these are numbers given to you from Six Krishna Menon. I mean, that's rubbish.
I'll tell you something. Talking about getting exit poll, getting things wrong, of course that happens. Let me tell you, last election, the last round of assembly elections, Chhattisgarh. And let me tell you, Madhya Pradesh.
The extent of the victory in Madhya Pradesh.
No, 1 second. I just want to say something. Madhya Pradesh election happens. Just before that, I'm called by a top leader of the Congress. And I'm given a lecture on how a narrative is completely off kilter, etc., shows me a huge bunch of constituency-wise, ward-wise, my dear friend, ward-wise exit polls that they themselves did, showing that they were going to win. Opinion polls, rather. What happened?
Yeah.
No. See, whatever, political parties can commission their own exit polls. We are doing it as an individual exercise.
I'm saying even these political parties rely on pollsters who get it wrong. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, whether they rely on pollsters or all the pollsters want to keep them happy and they give them numbers which will keep them happy is a different aspect. The fact is this constant badgering, like you said, we are all professionals. We've got nothing here to do. And everybody, increasingly the opposition is getting increasingly personal. They are not getting professional. They don't have a professional opinion. They've started making it personal
by name
opinions.
Of journalists. There are channels that are blacklisted. There is
they claim to be champions of democracy. They are saying we'll fix you the moment we come to power. If they're going to fix people the moment they come to power, how are they claiming to be democratic? They're far more fascist and they're far more Tanasha than what they're claiming the other person to be. Right? Now this is also going to dent their credibility. And if the trends hold, Nistula Hebbar and Nalin Mehta, if the trends hold as the exit polls, irrespective of what the final numbers are, then it's an outright rejection of the Janta for the tone, tenor and the kind of language that the opposition has been using. It's a slap on their face then.
So, first and foremost, when you start attacking the messenger and the media, I think you're tilting at windmills and you're fighting the wrong battle. For the opposition, the real battle to fight is with the BJP and on the ground for the voters of this country. You're not going to win that battle by finger pointing and by blaming A, B, C and D. If the results hold or if the exit poll holds, you get the result you want, then it requires serious soul searching within the opposition, within the Congress. It will require on why their message hasn't gone about and while even though they got the crowd, why did not result in votes. And that's the real thing. Blaming exit polls, blaming polls, they're going to miss the wood for the trees.
Because I remember a tweet from a senior Congress person the last time Congress lost an election. He said the people don't deserve Rahul Gandhi. So let's elect a new people then,
Are you living in some cuckoo land to think like that? The people of the ground, you have to have a sense on ground. One has to have a sense on the ground. One has to go and see what the people on the ground, what their aspirations and what they want.
You can't believe in democracy and be a Democrat and not believe in the will of the people, even if it is not your will. I mean, it means accepting the will of the people, even if it's against
people have spoken.
There was a ship that was to be named. and the people voted to name it Boti McBoatface. So the guy who owned the company that owned it, they said the people have spoken, the SOBs, what to do? We have to name it Boti McBoatface.
No, but you know, so the opposition's contention, okay, it's not a level playing field.
No, so
I'm willing to buy that to some extent, right? Whatever, finances, putting opposition leaders in jail, misuse of agencies. Maybe they have a point there. But none of that explains why after the election, the votes have been cast, people who have cast their votes are coming out and saying who they've voted for, and you're saying it's all fixed. Why? What purpose does it
Shouldn't
achieve?
be an unalloyed joy.
And
By doing what?
Zaka, if you look at the statistics, just
Because you
now,
spend your
again,
hour of victory explaining the election.
Nishtula, again, back of the envelope, right? I just sat here and did a quick. Since 2019, the last general election, the BJP has lost Himachal Pradesh, Bengal, Karnataka, Telangana, Odisha, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Jharkhand, and the capital city of Delhi.
Yeah. EVMs were fine, exit polls were fine, everything was fine. How many states is that between
That's,
2019?
I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I
10
this is
states.
Just, if I
Yeah.
had
There's-
like
there's-
5 more,
I'm sure there are more,
But
but
there was
These are
Madhya
all-
Pradesh also. There's
these are
Madhya
all-
Pradesh
These are
also.
all prestigious contests and high-powered contests. And by the way, this also happened in the first term of Modi when they lost Bihar and
Delhi.
Delhi to begin
No,
with.
there's Jharkhand. Jharkhand was
Yes.
there. They lost
Yeah,
Jharkhand.
that's- I put that
Jharkhand.
And Jharkhand is right after the
Yeah, and
general elections
Madhya
now.
Pradesh also
Yes,
they
that's right.
lost
Madhya Pradesh,
and
that's
then
right.
the government changed
That
and
makes
all.
it 11.
So 11 states they've lost since 2019.
Well, not Madhya Pradesh,
Because that was before
2019.
2019. But let's say 10 states, the Congress or other regional parties have won. How come this EVM bahana or this EVMs are faulty, election commission is compromised? How come that doesn't come up when that happens? Then the EVMs are fine, then everything is kosher.
Yes.
I mean, or another brand of EVMs are being used for those elections, or those elections,
the
those
EVMs
EVMs
were
are
still being tampered, but the Janta's mandate prevailed despite the tampering.
despite the hacking.
Despite the
Oh,
hacking
okay.
and
Got
despite
it.
the tampering of the
Jan
EVMs.
Sailab
So,
आया था.
yeah.
Jan Sailab
If
tha
you
wo.
declare an election
They couldn't tamper in a
illegitimate
EVMs.
because it does not give you the outcome you want, then I'm sorry, that is not democratic.
In 2017, you were claiming a moral victory in Gujarat
Yeah.
when the
Yeah,
EVMs
because,
threw up such a close contest.
No, because BJP came down below
99,
100, right?
exactly.
They were in
No, but
double
that was
digits.
moral victory. At that time, the EVMs were still all right. No, why are you doing it 2019? Some 2014, this entire EVM ka bahana started. Look at the number of elections the BJP lost. It came down to about presence in only 11 states before it went back to its presence in 17 states. So that whole trend happened between 2014 to 2019 too. More news coming through. Exit poll tremors in opposition camp. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav is cautioning SP workers. He's saying, be alert, vigilant, cautious and careful while monitoring the counting of votes and be completely vigilant. It is hoped that the Election Commission will carry forward its glorious tradition of impartiality and will continue to maintain its respect in the minds of the public by eliminating any fear of rigging. He is the Panch Parmeshwar of today. Long live democracy. Sharon is joining us. So again, counting centers, putting pressure on the polling agents and counting agents. From Trinamool Congress to Samajwadi Party to the Congress Party, everybody is trying to do this.
Absolutely, Anand, and not just these parties, the entire India bloc has in fact asked their party workers to stay alert, to stay vigilant. They have been asked not to leave the counting center, and in case there is any sort of malpractice or rigging taking place, then there needs to be a video recording that needs to be sent to each of the party heads or the party office is what the notice that has been sent out to all the party workers. In fact, yesterday the Congress party has sent out a letter, a notice to all their party workers on ground, to PCCs and in charge, saying that they should not leave the counting center, record the entire if there is any sort of malpractice that is taking place. And this is the message that all India leaders are sending to their leaders and their party workers. And this is coming after yesterday Akhilesh Yadav in fact put out this message saying that this is a do or die situation and the youths are agitated. We need to take part in the freedom movement. So clearly more of a violent take is what we are seeing since yesterday. He has been tweeting saying that there is some sort of a malpractice or rigging that will take place.
Let's
And
hope-
this is
let's
the
hope-
sentiments of not just Samajwadi Party or Akhilesh Yadav, but the leaders of the entire India.
Let us just hope that the para forces which have been deployed and of course the law and order machinery ensures that there is no loss of lives and there is no damage to public property by anybody, and there is no act of arsonism, vandalism, and the counting process is not disrupted at all. We've just got more news. We've got news.
One second,
Yes,
before we
sir.
go to, what this does willy-nilly, it'll do two things. One, you hate to be an exit pollster today because all eyes are on you. Think of all those returning officers. Look at the amount of pressure you're putting on them saying, oh, all you guys are compromised. You have to show me this and you have to show me that. And willy-nilly, what this will do, and I will wait to see how this plays out, I think today's counting will be much slower. I think because you're a returning officer, you are scared. You're wanting to, double check and triple check and check 5 times after every round before proceeding to the next round. So I have a feeling that we might have a slower counting process this time around.
No, counting is going to start at 8 o'clock. 8 to 8:30 is the postal ballots, as the CEC said, and thereafter the EVM rounds will start counting every time. Usually each round takes about 20 minutes to half an hour. If that is delayed, then the whole result process itself may get delayed across the 542 seats. We'll wait and watch, and we will try and get you the details as they are. The scoreboards will get updated accordingly, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you can interpret this entire News 18 screen before we go across to the more news coming through. The center box that you see, and with the small ticket right there, that's going to be the news grouping area, and this is where you're going to see all of us with our guests and the coverage and the footage. These are the, let's say, small box inside the rectangle that you see. The block above us is the big numbers, the all India numbers for the BJP, for the NDA, for the INDI alliance, and also the Congress party, and of course the overall leads, the seat share, along with the sponsor bugs and the channel bug. That's the top band. The left and right of the screen are you're going to toggle the states. Each state, so 3 states on each side. And that's how the 28 states, union territories, everything will be covered. And they will keep toggling and they'll keep changing the left and right of the screen. Right at the full bottom, that's where you'd see the key race alerts, the first lead, the countdown bug, and of course some big race alerts of some of the VVIP seats that we are tracking in that battle for Bharat. Along with the advertising messages, you will see that's where the big candidates, the big tickets, those results will come there, and those would be the key race alerts for you. News coming in from Bengal, where again there's been a crude bomb blast, and this is in Bangor. We are given to understand 5 people are injured. 5 people are injured ahead of counting getting underway. There is a crude bomb blast that took place in the Chaltab area of Bangor. 5 people were injured and they've been taken to hospital. Sources say the blast took place while some of them were making the crude bombs. Among the 5 injured, one of them is a panchayat member of the ISF. Kamalika now joins us. So left, ISF at Trinamool, they have been at it in this region, in this area. There was even pre-poll violence, now post-poll violence too, ahead of counting.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Bangor is always known for violence. Anand, if you remember, during the panchayat polls also, there were blasts and there were huge scale of violence there. Now, this has happened in the middle of the night when a huge sound came up from this Chaltabedi area, and then people reached there. We saw that there were bombs and 5 people were injured. They have been hospitalized, and one of them is an ISF panchayat member. And sources tells us that they were making bombs there while it exploded. That's what the preliminary investigation says. Police and CAPF is there, but Bangor falls under Jadavpur constituency, where Shayani Ghosh is contesting from TMC against Anirban Ganguly. But this is a place which is always violent, and no matter how many companies of CAPF are there, this still continues, and the start of the counting, we start with such a news from Bangor.
Well, thank you for that update. Let's hope all of them are safe, but they were actually making crude bombs. That's the report. They were making crude bombs. Will there be violent activity this time around? The last time around, the moment the forces, the central forces, the para forces left the counting centers and left Bengal, 48 hours of mayhem post the assembly elections was witnessed. This time, more than 440 companies are actually staying back. Kamalika was saying nearly 500 companies are going to be stationed in Bengal even after the elections and after the results to ensure that there is no large-scale violence. But if there is tayyari being made, then what does that represent? Smita Prakash of ANI is also with us this early morning, along with Nalin Mehta, Nistula Hebar. This whole aspect of violence, this whole aspect of trying to intimidate, put pressure, is this healthy or not? Do you believe results are going to get delayed because of this? Zaka believes that counting may be slowed down if everybody is trying to put pressure on the returning officer there at the counting centers.
Good morning. Glad to be here with all of you. But yes, this kind of intimidation tactic is not new. In many areas, it's endemic to certain parts where you were showing. But I think law enforcement authorities are in place. Of course, if there is a kind of a cluster bombing in the sense of cluster bombing of protests which happens, it does put law enforcement under extreme pressure, something that is not required in a democracy like ours, where peaceful transition from one government to the other happens through the ballot and not through danda. It's not something which is appreciated. And you know, we've had a history where 3-4 elections have seen one political party coming to power. So I can't see the reason why an opposition cannot accept if it's been free and fair. I can understand if there is a problem in certain areas, go to court, go to the election commission, explain. But street protests which turn violent is something that nobody wants in this country. So I really hope that better sense prevails, and this sar pe kafan bandh ke nikle hain kind of statements do not come from people who have gone through electoral processes in the past, tasted victory, tasted defeat. It's something that you take in your stride.
But can I ask a question about, you know, what concerns me is, I think Mr. Kharge had written a letter to all the civil servants, and then this morning again there's a tweet about, you know, we expect all civil servants to be impartial, and, you know, you owe your oath to the constitution and so on and so forth. What kind of pressure does that put? Like I keep saying, you know, if you're a returning officer today, you're like, my God, that's probably the second worst job after being an exit pollster today.
No, it is ominous. I get it that when these kind of statements come, but to be honest and free and fair is something that is inbuilt in a bureaucrat. I get that there are people who will blame bureaucrats for bending and for being unfair, partisan, prejudice. All those things come with it. But on electoral duty, it's absolutely sacrosanct that those who have been selected to do this job, not every bureaucrat, not every not every officer gets to do what they are doing today, which is electoral. The creme de la creme of the bureaucracy has been put in charge of the electoral process. And they are working, and they've been working absolutely tirelessly and without a break for the past 8 weeks.
And in a large case, they forget, Rahul, just coming to you, they forget that most of the electoral officers are state-level bureaucrats. So they are already part of the state administration, they are teachers, and they are part of the electoral office. And
the word committed bureaucrat or the committed bureaucracy came from the Indira Gandhi years. Okay, so look, I'm not trying to sort of give everyone a clean certificate here or anything, but fundamentally, this whole business of trying to question the electoral process and justifying it by saying that even the so-called mother of all democracies, this is what transpired. Look, there's a huge difference between how the American Election Commission works and the Indian Election Commission works. We're very centralized. There, every district has its own rules on how to count elections.
They don't have a federal election commission.
They don't have a federal election commission. So we have to understand that there is a large scope for arbitrariness there. There is no scope here. Everything is laid down precisely. There is an election commission mandated guideline that has to be sort of followed to the T. There is a presence of electoral officers of each of the of the candidates and political parties in those counting centers. As journalists, you're allowed access to a certain point. We've all been there. We've all seen how it happens. There are 5 people who are checking each of the machines, including the officers of the political parties, and they have to sign off on each of those forms. So fundamentally, this is a watertight way of going about assessing the outcome of an election. Now, if you have a problem with the way the procedure has been outlined, there's enough time for you to approach court, go to parliament, lobby for it, set up a parliamentary committee to relook it. But you can't raise the bogey on the day of counting or a few days before that. And there has been a concerted attempt it began with certain pollsters who have now become politicians to prescribe a number. And that number has now become the de facto number that the opposition is sort of tom-tomming. The attempt is to suggest that we have the real numbers, the exit polls are false. If our number is not validated by
then
the
entire
EVM,
process is
then
fraudulent.
the process is actually a fraud.
Let's call out the elephant in the room, and that is the opposition is resorting to this because they can't beat Modi in an election. Nistula, that's what it boils down to. They couldn't do it in 14, they couldn't do it in 19. They are unlikely to do it in 24 if going by the exit poll results. You don't want to concede to the fact that you are not able to defeat Mr. Modi in an election. That's why your EVM ka bahana, election commission ka bahana, this bahana, that bahana, that's what it boils down to.
Of course it does, because if you look at the opposition parties, what kind of a concerted political response has come from them following these defeats? What has been the review that has been done internally? In any other democratic setup like the UK, which we follow the Westminster model. The president of that political party and the leadership would have changed by now.
Yeah.
There would have been a coup from within. Even Mrs. Thatcher could not survive beyond 11 years. And she won elections. I mean, she didn't survive it while in the saddle. So what I'm saying is, if you're not doing your internal processes, then you have to blame something outside of it. Secondly, looking at the political history of this country or the electoral history of the country, we had a Congress-dominated system for so many years. Now, when the pole of politics has shifted, I don't think that has been kind of ingested by those who should or who are responsible for crafting a response, a political and electoral response.
And to capture the imagination of the people. I think the UK is a great example. I mean, Labour in the UK has been in the doghouse for the last 15 years. Yeah. But now all polls are suggesting, and the UK will be going to polls next month, all polls are suggesting that Labour will come back. How did they do that?
They had a problem with Corbyn, if you
exactly.
remember.
They found a new leadership.
Then they
found a leadership that could articulate their vision for voters, and a large number of voters are buying that vision.
There have been 6 prime ministers in the last 5 years.
Exactly.
I mean, there is a clear democratic process internally within political parties. You just can't hang on to power.
So if you're not responding to the people, then you allege conspiracy.
May I add something to the discussion, which is that while the Western liberal democracies have structured systems of succession, so you lose an election, the next leader has to, the old leader abdicates and the new one has to fight for leadership. Yeah. We may not have structured systems of succession in our political parties, but there is a system of meritocracy in certain parties. The rest of it are all family-owned parties. Now, if you don't have a system of meritocracy and the political order changes, you're always going to struggle. See, if you don't have permanent leadership for life, then there's a problem of accountability.
And if you start compromising merit and start choosing mediocrity and choose mediocrity over meritocracy, that will also not give you yield dividends. Something that most parties need to do is go back and look at their own individual strike rate based on the seats contested and the returns that have come through. And the biggest one to blame among the opposition the last time around out of 186 seats, and we've put that out time and again here, was the Congress party, which returned only 15 out of the direct fights, 186 direct fights with the BJP the last time around. And they are the largest party, the fulcrum of the opposition. If they want to be, they have to go and improve their numbers. And if the Congress improves their numbers as far as the exit poll is concerned only by 10 seats, then that's not a fight, Zaka. That's not what you expect them to do in 10 years.
I mean,
in 5 years.
They had 44 in 2014, then went up to 52 in 2019. This time, I think the highest number I've seen for the Congress is 75. At 75, you cannot form a government. It's as simple as that. Now, yesterday, Dr. Raman, he made a point saying, the purpose of the India alliance was to deny the BJP a majority. You deny the BJP a majority, automatically the other side has to win,
what he didn't say was to deny Modi specifically an opportunity to come back. They don't have a problem so much
if
with
Modi can't make 272, then the other side has to make 272.
Correct.
They clearly can't. If Congress is at 75, the others have to get 200.
Zaka, why did they come together to stop one person?
There has been an argument which has been put out by several political parties that you don't want a clear winner. It doesn't matter. It's better to have a Khichdi Sarkar. And this has been put out by a lot of people saying that, in fact, argument is put out that in the years of coalition government, the economic growth,
economic growth,
and so on.
That if
that's an absurd idea.
That there have been various explanations as to why a coalition works better than a strong and stable government, because a coalition works harder than a strong and stable government and is better for the economy.
I can understand the
argument.
argument.
You can't even
I can understand the checks and balances argument.
Because consensus from a variety of
Yeah, the checks and balances argument I can still understand.
Yeah.
You know, Nishtara, a checks and balances argument you can understand. Yes, you can also argue that, look, there will be more give and take across the aisles because you have to sort of almost constantly look over your shoulder to see who's plunging a back.
But constituencies hoping for an unstable government because it works.
So at the cost of sounding nerdy, I wanted to say that, you know, there are a lot of people who are also looking at old videos of, you know, these Vajpayee facing a vote of no confidence and everybody laughing at jokes and, you know, things like that. Yes, there was a liberal consensus of the past, etc., but it also meant that the elite stayed in their place. So if you have an outsider to the system taking over, that discomforts a lot.
But look at the numbers. The numbers show that that past of uncertainty is a reflection of the inability to accept that the contours of Indian politics have changed.
And disruptors are by and large, the elite never likes a disruptor coming into place. They like that old system. So whenever a new system comes, you have to adapt, survive, sink or survive kind of a thing.
Just 31 minutes to go for result day, and one of the arguments which is also put is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has transcended parties. He does not represent any particular party now. He represents a vision as he becomes so big. And is there a reason why ki kuch bhi ho Modi ko hatao? Now, if that's the agenda of the opposition, do you really want to vote for somebody who does not have an alternative plan except for saying this man on your screen needs to not come back to power and we don't want to see him as Prime Minister? Now, that cannot be the agenda for a nation. Now, what will the voter decide? They've already cast the ballot. Let's go back to the live result hub. How is it going to function? In about 30 minutes from now, the first of the votes will start coming in and the scoreboard will start ticking. How is it going to happen, Avantika? And do you have Brajesh Kumar Singh with you?
Yes, indeed, I do, Anand, and just take a look at all the action behind me. The excitement is palpable. Brajesh Singh is with me, the group editor, Convergence. Brajesh ji, you're the man of the moment. Tell us a little bit more about the live result hub. This is so special. How is it going to work? We have so many people around here and all the numbers. It's going to be a tsunami of numbers very soon.
Yeah, this is the unique property we have at the Network 18, and perhaps this is the only one in the entire media industry. Almost 20 years ago, in the election of 2004, the 2004 Lok Sabha elections, for the very first time we started such kind of setup that is known as the live result hub. If you look at this entire setup, it is more than 100 plus manpower from every department, including editorial, technical, IT, operations. It's a cohesive effort, and through this we try to be accurate as possible, you know, because even the election commission cites about our own credibility, you know, in most of the elections in which most of the rivals were in the another directions, we were the only one who were perfect, absolutely correct. And if you look at the desk, this entire composition, we have the different desks to cater every state. For example, we have a Madhya Pradesh desk, Haryana desk, every state. We are catering all 542 Lok Sabha constituencies because the 543rd one, the Surat, is already declared. Apart from those 542 Lok Sabha constituencies, we are also going to track the assembly elections in Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. So this is the only place from where you can get the accurate 100%
Avantika, just ask him the flow of information. When will the numbers start coming in? From when can we start expecting the numbers?
So when will the numbers start coming in? Just tell us, when will the numbers start coming in?
Look, this is 7:30 in half an hour because counting is going to start at 8, and the process is first to count the postal ballots. So whenever this counting of postal ballot, it will start, we will have the update, because in the election commission setup, they declare the result of postal ballots in round 1, while in our setup, we are ahead of the election commission because we get the results directly from the counting centers, and across the country we have 717 counting centers, and to cater these 717 counting centers we have more than 720 reporters. That's the vast network we have.
Oh my God.
So
just
720 reporters placed across 717 counting centers, and these are trained reporters to understand the results and also process of counting. The postal ballot numbers will start coming in just in about 29 minutes from now. We've got the counter coming through, and thereafter, which state will start bringing in less than just about 28 minutes now to go as we start the numbers. Interesting about the postal ballot, and Rajiv Kumar Mishra, our part of our research team, has just put out this information. I'm just reading this. In the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, postal ballots played a crucial role in deciding the outcome in 9 constituencies across 8 states, where the victory margin was less than 5,000 votes. Notably, these ballots surpassed the victory margin in each case. For instance, in Machil Shahar, Uttar Pradesh, the BJP won by a narrow margin of 181 votes with 2,814 postal ballots counted. Similarly, in Chamarajnagar, Karnataka, the BJP clinched victory from the Congress by 1,817 votes with 2,943 postal ballots cast. In other seats included West Bengal's Arambagh, where the Trinamool Congress defeated the BJP by a margin of 1,142 votes. A total of 1,549 postal votes were counted there in 2019. The BJP retained the Khunti seat in Jharkhand by defeating the Congress candidate by a margin of 1,445 votes. As many as 1,951 postal ballots were counted in Khunti in the last Lok Sabha polls. Jehanabad seat of Bihar, Tamil Nadu's Chidambaram, Koraput seat of Odisha and Andhra's Guntur are other examples where the postal ballots actually decided the victor.
And this time there will be more postal ballots coming through because the EC has actually changed criteria and included more categories. So older people above a certain age can also, and there are other criteria also for others.
So the
postal ballot numbers have also gone up. Lakh
22
postal ballots. I think
it was
this time it's a little more than
of
that.
the overall number.
Yeah, 25?
Around 5 lakhs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So earlier it was 0.3% of the entire number. So
electorate.
this time it's...
No, I just want to add to what the live result hub, and a lot of people, particularly from other channels, have been calling us and asking, how do you get the results even before the election commission or the returning officer has declared it? So just to explain it in simple terms, if let's say there are 10 EVM machines that have to be counted for round 1 to be declared, our reporters, and you heard Brajesh a moment ago, 720 reporters in each of the counting centers have been trained in a way that if you feel that a candidate of party A or party B has already got a margin which is more than the number of machines to be counted. Let's say they've counted 5 machines, that's the live hub. If they've counted 5 machines and there are 2 more machines left, and the candidate of party A has already run up a margin which is higher than the entire number of votes on the other 2 machines, then he calls up even before the RO has declared round 1. So that's how we get the numbers at our live result hub much faster than before. The leads, the leads, much before the returning officer in each of these counting centers is.
Yeah, and we are able to
and of course that
consolidate the
lead
leads.
can keep changing
of course.
round by round. Yes.
They will keep changing round by round, but the leads also then tend to consolidate overall in terms of similar. So there is no drastic going up of the leads and
it
then
depends
it coming
also
down
on the area, I suppose, no, Anand, from where these particular EVMs or...
So that's the beauty with these EVMs.
Yeah.
It's
You don't know.
democratized. You don't know. Last time I think we got the first lead from a constituency in Rajasthan. The time before that, it was from Tamil Nadu. So it can be from anywhere. It can be from anywhere that you get the first.
Depends on the counting centers opening. Some of them also open at 7:58. Others will open at 8:02. But the counting centers, once they are open, we will get reports of counting centers opening, the counting beginning. And then thereafter, once the EVM counting. Now, sometimes it takes 20 minutes, sometimes it takes 25 or 27. If there is a challenge in some counting centers, the counting could be delayed. So those could also determine where the results will come from. But by about 9 a.m., we should have all 543 seats sending out data.
I just want you to explain to the viewer this point, because I was looking at a large number of people from a particular ecosystem who've been claiming that channels regularly, goose up the numbers to show something so that it can be validated finally by the EC. They're trying to sort of direct the direction in which the election is headed. So if you could just
there could be
elaborate
postal
on
ballots that could come from about 300 to 350 constituencies, if not more. And those postal ballots will also reflect on the early leads. So what we are going to be putting out are the early leads by party and perhaps by state. Because there is no direct...
And of course, the live stream is also coming from the election commission.
Seat-wise or constituency-wise, you'll get data by the state and you would get the early leads. Who's got the early leads? The first 25 to 30 minutes, it's all postal ballot. It's only by about 8:50, 8:55 that the EVM round 1 counting would have gotten over and the postal ballot consolidation with the round 1s, and you'd start getting data. But by about 9 o'clock, you should get at least 542 seats. Leads will start coming in, and that will consolidate. And by the time we get into 4 or 5 rounds of counting, we should be somewhere around 11:30, when you would have more or less a
typically
clearer
there are about
picture.
13 to 14 rounds of counting.
Typically. But by the time you get to about 5 to 6 rounds of counting,
Unless,
largely across a lot of seats, you know what kind of margin of victory is, and then you are able to see the kind of leads that somebody takes in those constituencies, and you'll see the leads. The settling down of the numbers, confirmation of the seats will not happen at 9:30. If anybody is calling the elections at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, then they're really jumping the gun.
I don't think after 2015 Bihar elections anybody's ever done that. And a small note here on exit polls and why should they goose up the numbers. The only, and you know, I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility, the only reason anybody could do that is possibly to short the market. I'm from Bangalore, so I'm into all of these things. So I have to say that this is the only thing I can think of. You want to short the market.
You can short the market a day and then live with that, lack of credibility for the next 4.5 years.
That's the only thing
That's the point I was making. Why would you want to shoot yourself?
Exactly.
You have a legacy to live up to.
Money control representative.
Managing editor, money control.
Let me have a word on this. So fundamentally on exit polls, two points. Firstly, on exit polls, historically, the exit polls have been wrong in the direction of it only once, which is the 2004 one. Globally, in the 1992 one in UK, when John Major
the
lost,
Trump election,
the Trump election with Hillary. But if you talk to people in the markets, and a lot of our reporters have been talking to, the markets had factored in a result which is similar to what the exit polls have predicted for a long while. A lot of the position in the markets, a lot of people also hedge the other way around and on the short calls. But a lot of fund managers had hedged, had factored in this result a while ago.
Yeah.
Now, whether it holds or not, we'll see.
So Nalin, advise Rahul Shivshankar where to put all his extra money in. What should he do today?
Laddus. I think laddus.
Buy laddus.
Laddus is where you should put your money.
You can give some to us.
Everywhere it's laddu.
You can redistribute your wealth, Rahul.
It's
be all
decided that the menu for today is aloo puri and laddu. Those are the visuals coming in from around the country, from across the country. It seems like that's the menu across the country today. Don't eat or drink anything other than
that BJP headquarters. We saw puri and bundi.
Yeah.
So that bundi is going to be rolled into.
So let me tell you a true story on this point. 5 days ago, I decided to put some money in the market. Okay.
Now we're talking, Rahul.
I hope you use Money Control Pro.
Some being the operative word.
I hope you listen to Money Control Pro.
So I get a call yesterday evening to say that, अरे आपके account में तो उतना पैसा ही नहीं है. Because I have two accounts where the salary goes in and where the savings, when you transfer into savings account.
income tax, watch out.
And I had, no, it's all legit. So my savings account, my wife hadn't transferred the money into the savings account against which I had cut the checks. So I'm not in the market right now, and I was very upset because I said this was the time to go in for this. 5 days back I would have benefited from the rally, and I'm sitting here and I can only give my checks tomorrow.
Yeah, see, you should have done it via Money Control Pro.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
okay,
that's
after
true.
that plug, we've
Also our YouTube. I think we should mention our YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen,
page.
we have not just the continuous
Congratulations,
broadcast on television, which is also available on YouTube. We also have a separate stream on YouTube. And go ahead and enjoy. Watch it on any screen, but stay with us here on CNN News 18. It's a separate stream that we're going to put in. And the strong room visuals are coming through. We'll also have visuals of the counting center, people standing outside the counting centers.
Those are the returning officers.
The harbour, the returning officers.
Returning officers.
This is coming from somewhere in the south of our country, and we'll have to see which constituency it is, but that's the strong room, the counting centers. One gets to understand that there won't be an inordinate delay in counting. They will try, and once they start doing it, they'll try and get on a roll and finish out with the numbers and
I live right next to a counting center, and ever since the EVMs have come there, I just want to tell you what the security is like. The entire road, the roads around it are completely sealed. Police have been there 24/7. Security is so tight, and the entire area is brightly lit. Nobody is allowed to go anywhere around even the counting center. Forget about trying to enter the counting center. So these are This is
highly
protected.
secure zones.
Yeah, like Fort Knox, all of them across the country.
Yeah.
In fact,
nobody
you
can
tweeted
go.
about this.
Yeah.
You tweeted a photograph.
Yeah, it's like you just can't go anywhere near. So none of us have been able to drive to our homes. We have to go from another route simply because these are so
it's just
tightly guarded.
another few hours of inconvenience at the counting center. All the agents are getting ready. The counting agents are getting ready. The EVM boxes will be opened. We are counting down, ladies and gentlemen. Less than 20 minutes to go before counting gets underway. Multiple visuals. They're all at the ready. One gets the sense that they won't want to. Although the counting may be a little slow, that Zaka is apprehensive about if there is a lot of pressure, but if there is a security ring that's going to stop unnecessary elements trying to get too close to the counting centers, and that will allow the polling agents and the counting agents to do their jobs,
but how lucky,
then we should have the results very soon. We should have the results by afternoon.
Anand, as I say, we can get caught up in these sort of side issues, but look how lucky we all are to have this ringside view once in 3 generations on an election that could actually prove to be historic. As I said, a tryst with destiny of a different kind. You know, when Mr. Nehru won his 3rd, he was really running what was a one-horse race legitimately, and anyone who broke away from the Congress in those days was dismissed as a political entrepreneur. If you please. There was no concept of the breadth
morning,
of democracy.
I did, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep. I did a Google search.
Well, you should have called me. I was awake.
What was Mr. Nehru's majority in 1962? It was 361.
361.
And it struck me, if Mr. Modi crosses 361, if the NDA crosses 361 today, I mean, what a historic mandate this is going to be. And let's not take away, I know all this talk about EVMs and the opposition complaining is getting disproportionate airtime. But if this victory happens in the numbers that the exit poll is suggesting, it is, like you said, it's probably the dawn of a second republic.
Look at how our democracy...
a record, how do you feel when a Don Bradman's record or a Sachin Tendulkar's record is broken?
Think about this.
How do they feel?
Look at the breadth that our democracy has assumed. Look at the number of parties today. Look at the
1960s.
Exactly. The moving parts. I mean, you have castes, you have classes, you have parties articulating various interests. You have a dynamic and diverse
that, you have
parliament.
642 million voters. In the 1960s, we didn't have the 642 million voters.
Celebrating the diversity is what
so
we're
much
doing
more
today.
aware.
Absolutely, really.
So much more aware, so much more informed. Every household has a mobile phone. They may not. So all of that is
Governance
important.
has become so much
more
more
We got Siddhant joining us from the BJP office in Lucknow. Yes, Siddhant.
Well, good morning, Anand. Right now I'm Lucknow headquarters, and today is also Bada Mangal in Lucknow, and Bada Mangal is celebrated on large scale in Lucknow. You will find bhandaras happening all across the city. So, at BJP headquarters, ahead of the results, this Bada Mangal is being celebrated. In fact, you can see ज्येष्ठ मास के द्वितीय बड़े मंगल के शुभ अवसर पर फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार मनोकामना हेतु विशाल भंडारा. And if you have a time, Anand, I can get inside the BJP headquarters and would like to show you the meal that is being prepared ahead of the results on the occasion of Bada Mangal. I would ask my video journalist Vimbadhar to move swiftly, and if you could pan and show it to our viewers, you can see Anand, the Bada Mangal celebration, the Bada Mangal celebration meals are being prepared. भंडारा meal is being prepared. We'll be speaking to some people. क्या क्या है भैया आज भंडारे में?
आलू है, प्याज, टमाटर है, कदुआ है.
कदुआ भी है. अच्छा, क्या कब से आप लोग लगे हुए हैं?
रात से लगे हुए, रात से
लगे हुए. तो आज तो रिजल्ट भी आ रहा है.
कितने लोगों के लिए भंडारा
लग रहा है रिजल्ट में?
रिजल्ट में क्या लगा?
हाँ जी.
कितने लोगों के लिए भंडारा बन रहा है?
बीजेपी जीतेगी. कितने लोगों के लिए भंडारा हो रहा है यहाँ?
ये कम
10,000 लोगों के लिए है.
10,000
लोगों के लिए. तो ये बीजेपी जीतने वाली इसलिए हो रहा है, बड़ा मंगल है इसलिए हो रहा है?
नहीं, बड़ा मंगल भी उसका सहयोग है, उसी का हो रहा है. बीजेपी जीतेगी तब भी हो रहा है.
वो उधर आनंद, उधर पूड़ियां भी तल रही हैं. मैं बिंबा जी से बोलूंगा दिखाएं. देखिए पूड़ियां गर्मा गर्म पूड़ियां निकाली जा रही हैं.
दिल्ली से लेके लखनऊ तक पूड़ियां तली जा रही हैं. जैसा मैंने कहा कि दिस मॉर्निंग ब्रेकफास्ट इज नॉट फॉर द कैलोरी कॉन्शियस.
पूरा
बट तुम्हारा गमछा लोग बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है सिद्धांत. ये इलेक्शन में इसको पक्का कर रही हो इन गर्मी में. गुड वर्क डन ऑल अराउंड. सही कह रहे हैं आप. ये गमछा इज द ओनली वे टू सर्वाइव इन द हीट, एंड एवरीबडी is lean to it. So the pure cotton सूती गमछा what a blessing that is. थोड़ा सा गीला करके यहाँ गले के पीछे लगा लीजिए तो आपको लू नहीं लगेगी. So that's a simple nuskha. But yes, counting down on the clock, less than 15 minutes now, ladies and gentlemen. We will try and keep that clock a little more consistent there on our screens just as we count down and get closer. It is just less than about 15 minutes with the clock. And
what number?
There you go, 13 minutes and 20 seconds to go.
If there has to be a surprise, let's get into that conversation. What number do we have to actually focus on? Which part of the screen? Is it going to be the Congress number that we have to constantly keep an eye on? If the exit polls are to be proven wrong, the basic conventional theory that is being floated is that the more the Congress gets beyond 100, if it does...
First, it has to get to 100.
Yeah, of course.
And then beyond.
The more it does, as I said, and if it does cross 100, then it becomes problematic for the
देखिए आपका
BJP.
metric बहुत simple है. Uttar Pradesh, if the BJP is leading in more than 55 seats in Uttar Pradesh, the Congress is not getting anywhere, or neither is the INDI alliance getting anywhere closer to the number that they have claimed. What's the first benchmark? Second benchmark is Maharashtra. Out of 48 seats, if the INDI alliance is getting anywhere more than 25 seats, then the BJP will not get to 300 par, because they need those numbers. In the south, 131 seats in the south. How much is the Congress going to max out on, and the INDI alliance going to max out on? In the south, in these 131 seats, if like we've predicted that the BJP gets more than 60 seats, 65 seats, and of course the Coromandel. So and then you'll add Odisha, 21 seats of Odisha. I think these 5-6 seats, these 5-6 states outside of the BJP bastions, these 5-6 states will determine who's getting closer to the target that they have set for themselves.
The BJP doesn't do that well in Maharashtra. I mean, the NDA doesn't do that well in Maharashtra, but still ends up with a score
but that's what. So the 370 par or 350 par will not happen if the BJP and the NDA don't come to close to 40 seats in Maharashtra. So that is something which is going to be interesting. But if the BJP retains its seats,